What's good, ToxicSightGaming? ToxicSightGaming here, back again once again with another Paladins video. In this video, this one will be pretty short and detailed about these items right here on the screen. Give me 1 second actually. This will be precise about these items you see right here on the screen over to my left. We're gonna talk about, we're gonna talk about all competitive viability of these cards. You have your defensive cards that are Illuminate, that increase the range at which you can see nearby stealth targets. Tier 1, 2, 3. Blast shields that reduce damage from AoE effect attacks. Tier 1, 2, 3. Haven, reduce damage taken by direct attacks. 1, 2, 3. Resilience that reduce the duration and effectiveness of crowd control and slows. 1, 2, 3. And then you have your utilities. Your Master Riding, increase your mountain speed. Morale Boost, increase your ultimate charge. Nimble, increase movement, gain movement speed. Chronos, reduce cooldowns. Then you have your healings. Regenerate, receive 10% more healing from other players. Veteran, heal for an additional 4% of your max health every second when out of combat. Kill to heal, getting a kill or elimination heals you for 300. Life Rip, your weapon gains 10% lifesteal. Then you have your offense. Bulldozer, your weapon shots deal 50% increased damage to deployables. Cauterize, your weapon shots reduce the effective healing on your target. Wrecker, your weapon attacks deal increased damage to shields. Deft Hands, increase your reload speed. We're gonna start with the obvious, not so obvious choices in the defensive. The defensive cards are not normally your first go-to. Actually, now that I think about it, they're hardly ever your first go-to. Your first go-tos are either in your healing, your offense, or your utility, depending on what role you're filling. Your defenses are normally your second, maybe your third pickup. Now breaking them all down, each of the four. Your utility, your defense, Illuminate, Blast Shields, Haven, and Resilience. Your most common two that you will be picking will be either Haven or Blast Shields, depending on what the most damage on the opposing team is. Not the entire team. And I will say this again, do not pick Blast Shields or Haven based off what the overall majority of the enemy team is. Pick it based off of what you yourself are taking the most damage from. Let's just say your opposing team has 3 directs and 2 AoEs. Okay. And let's say you're taking damage from 1 AoE and 2 directs. Okay. In that case, yes, you would go for Haven simply because there's more Haven and more than AoE, but plus you're taking more damage from the directs than the AoEs. The only thing that would make that different is, well, you really wouldn't take that match any differently anyways, but you would have to focus on what you're taking the most damage from, which is why I say the defenses is never a good option as your first pick in what to purchase at the start of a match. Resilience is good to an extent if there's a majority of crowd controlling ults or crowd controlling people on the opposing team, which I'll show you what I mean by crowd controlling people. Illuminate is good if your opponent has, the opposing team has 2 people that can go invisible. And I'll go ahead and pull up the champion list. Cannot go invisible, cannot, no, 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 no. No, 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 no. So the whole top 2 rows are no's. Wait. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, these 2 rows are all no's. This row's a no because he doesn't count because you can see his smoke. The only characters that illuminate effects is Ceres in Shadow Travel, Shaolin in his disengage, not disengage, in his what is this called? In his withdraw, and his ult. Sky in stealth, and Strix in his hidden in his stealth. I think they're both the same. Yeah, stealth and hidden. Okay, they are different. Okay, so those are the only 4 people that Illuminate helps with. So if you're having trouble seeing a Sky or a Shaolin or a Strix, well, Strix you would have to go after him to be able to have trouble seeing him. But if you're having trouble seeing like Shaolin or Sky or maybe Ceres, then I might go Illuminate because it helps you reveal them with more at a farther range as you go up. But like I was saying at the beginning, your main 2 focuses here is Haven and Blast Shield. Now the champions that Resilience will help you with. Resilience will help you against Furia's beam whenever it stuns. It'll help you with Ash's ult if it stuns you. Bomb King's Grumpy stun and ult stun. Eevee's slow in her ult. Moji's ult, it'll help reduce the time that you're changed. Dom, it'll help you in the reduce time in fear. Maeve, it'll reduce the time her ult works on you. Khan, now thanks to the update, it'll help you reduce the time he's got you grabbed in his ult. Genos, his grab, not his ult. Inara's totem and her stun of her ult. Pip's ult and slow. Grover's slow standard throw, axe throw, and his rooted talent throw, which isn't all that great. Ceres' ult, it'll help against. If Shaolin hits you with the Impaler arrow, it'll help. It won't help Talus. Won't help Term. Oh, Crush it'll help against. It'll help against the duration that you're affected by Torvald's ult. And that's it. So there's a lot of champions that it'll help against. But just because I say that there's a lot of champions it'll help against, remember, it's what you're being targeted and being affected by that'll determine if you want resilience or if you want these. Now we're going to go in to utility, which is where I see a lot of people messing up. It's one of the places I see people messing up. The other one I'll get to shortly. Utility. Master Riding helps you with your mountain speed. The only time this is good is if you're a flank and you need to hurry up and get behind the enemy to flank their healer and their sniper if they have one, or their other damages that stay back. Or tanks, and tanks to get to the point faster. Morale increases your ult charge. While that does sound phenomenal, don't just take it based on what it says. Morale boost does help build your ult faster, which is good for a lot of characters, but Nimble increases your movement speed, which will help champions out, and Chronos will help all your cooldown ability, all the cooldowns of your abilities. All of the utilities are good to choose in comps based on what role you play, and I'll get into the purchasing of items based on roles later. 90% of the time, most of the time you want Chronos as a support, except for Ying and Ceres, if you have the right loadout, but like I said, we'll get into loadouts later. Morale boost is good on just about anybody other than supports. to help build your ults faster. Nimble's good on anybody you want to, but the main one that is justifiably predetermined is supports with Chronos minus the two supports that I named. And those two supports bounce. Well, Ying could go Chronos or Morale, but Saris bounces back and forth between these two because with the right loadout you can't get any faster with Chronos. The healing cards. Every tank that stays on point, every tank, I'm just going to go ahead and say it, every frontline / tank gets rejuve in comps. I've seen Makoas go life rip, and whenever I ask them why they go life rip, oh, my ult hits such and such damage, if I go all the way up, I'll get 30% of it. Okay, you're going to ult 2 times, maybe 3 times in a match. Why not go rejuve where your healer can keep you alive longer? And I see tanks going kill to heal. Why are you going kill to heal? The only people you're going to be able to shoot at or hit are other tanks or damages that get on the point to hold it until their tanks get back. Tanks go frontline. Supports and damages get kill to heal. Flanks can get either one of these. Nobody in competitive should ever get veteran, because there's not a single person on the field that is left alone long enough unless you get team wipe after team wipe after team wipe whenever they are out of combat for veteran to kick in. Now the one that I see messed up constantly is the offensive. We're going to start with Deft Hands. No, we're going to end with Deft Hands, because Deft Hands I want to talk about for a while. The main two you need to worry about, the main one you should worry about, is Cauterize. It reduces healing your targets receive by 30, 60, and 90% for a whole entire 1.5 seconds. 1.5 seconds might not seem like a lot. That resets every single shot you put into them. Wrecker increases your damage by 75, 150, and 225 damage to shields. That's good, but now we're going to go back and look at the shielding champions. Ashe deploys a shield. Barrack deploys a shield. And notice I'm saying the word deploys. And I'll show you, and I'll go back to those cards here in a second. These two deploy shields. Nando uses a shield. Easy to go through unless he goes in the corner, and then you can't really get behind him. So Nando uses a shield. Inara, no shield. Khan uses a shield. Makoa uses a shield. Ruckus uses a shield. Torvald uses shields. So Ashe and Barrack deploy. Khan, Nando, Koa, Torvald, Ruckus use shields. For the 5 that use shields, Wrecker will work on. Bulldoze, deploy, deployables. The champions that have deployables, regardless if they're shields or not. Ashe deploys her shield. Barrack deploys his turrets and his shields. Bomb King his bombs. Not worth getting Bulldozer for. Barrack's turrets are worth getting Bulldozer for. Ashe's shield is not worthy of getting it. Grok deploys a totem. There's arguments for that, if it's worthy or not. Inara deploys her wall and her totem. Definitely worthy of getting it. Canessa deploys her drones. Not really worth it. They only have like 500 health or something. He lays his shield if he goes half shield. Not really worth getting it for it. deploys her drones. They're not really worth getting anything for it. And she deploys her illusions, worth getting it. So Ash, not really worth it. You can just walk through it. Barrick, you can walk through his shield. Bulldozer's worth getting for his turrets. He argumentative point for getting Bulldozer for his totem that heals. Definitely get it for Inara's. Definitely get it for Ying. Anybody else, don't worry about it. So Inara, Ying, Barrick, deployable. Everybody else not really worth it. Maybe Grok. But just because I say, just if you have one of those three people on the opposing team, don't waste Bulldozer for one person. Don't waste Wrecker for one out of those 5. There's 3 people, 1 healer, 2 tanks that Bulldozer's good for. If you just so happen to get into a game with all 3 of them, yes, one person should get Bulldozer. Don't tell your damage, your support, and your tank to get Bulldozer for those 3 people. One person is all it takes. Wrecker, one person is all that needs to get Wrecker if you need it, because if there's 2 or more people out of those 5 that Wrecker's good for. Bulldozer and Wrecker, one person out of your 5 is all that is needed. Everybody else should stack up on Cauterize. Cauterize reduces healing, therefore, if you reduce the healing their healer does to their team, therefore you're going to kill the enemies faster, therefore you'll cap and push faster, therefore you'll win more. So even if you have to get, it's impossible to have this scenario now that I think about it, but if you happen to get one person with Wrecker, one person with Bulldozer, and 3 with Caught, you're better off that way than having 2 with Bulldozer, 1 with Wrecker, and 2 with Caught. Caught should always be prominent on anybody's team in competitive, because only one person should get Wrecker, one person should get Bulldozer, but never in the same game, because it is virtually impossible to have 2 or more people out of those 5 that need Wrecker, since all 5 of them are tanks, and 2 out of those 3 that I said need Bulldozer are tanks that do not fall in the Wrecker category. So therefore, the least amount of people you should have in a single game with Cauterize is 4. Now, the reason that I skipped over Deft Hands, I didn't even talk about it, I didn't even touch it, I didn't even mention it, I mentioned it once. But you should never mention Deft Hands in competitive. There's only 3 champions. Count them. 3 champions out of 37. There's 11 people in a row, so that's 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, and there's 3 that'll actually benefit from Deft Hands. The 3 people that'll benefit from Deft Hands, count them with me. The 3 people that'll benefit from Deft Hands, Maldamba is a support, truly comp viable. But wait, Leon, damage, truly comp viable. Vivian, damage, never comp viable. I'll repeat that again slower. Vivian, damage, never comp viable. She is an easy kill. She's a yes, she is a heavy hitter, but she's an easy kill. She's super squishy. She has no mobility. Somebody get in the back line, bam, she's dead. You have no damage on your team. But, okay, so that rules out Vivian. So, Leon and Maldamba. Let's check out Leon's cards. Her legendary cards, not her loadout that you build. Her legendary cards, Precision. Grace generates 8 ammo and your weapon deals 6% more damage. This is one of her greatest cards she has. For the simple fact, I'm not going to read my loadouts yet. Grace, over on the far right. Ignore the thumb mouse button. Grace, direct damage. Quickly dodge in the direction you were moving and fire your rifle. And fire a rifle shot dealing 400 damage to the enemy nearest to where you were aiming. Acts as a weapons attack. So, let's say I'm over here. Okay, there's 2 pips.
I should spend this
Instant hits. And watch this. I'm gonna be at 1 shot. Grace. Oh, look at that. I'm back up to 8. Never have to reload. All you have to do is have your right click your movement ability up. All you have to do is have your You see how I haven't had to reload?
Next time you see my banner, run.
I mean, I've had to go into the reload animations a couple times because it hasn't. But you see, you never have to hit R with her. Okay, that's enough about Leon. No. And the only reason that it's viable, even potentially, on Damba is... I'm gonna stun him here. Reload. His reload stuns its target. Stun. Reload. Stun. Reload. Stun. And then I'm gonna go through here. Zen, his reload is decently fast. Or his reload is decent. Ying, decent. Willow, good enough for comp. Pip, good enough for comp. Ruckus, great for comp. Ceres, good enough for comp. Shaolin, never reloads. Sky, excellent for comp. And I'm talking reload speeds. I'm going to go through every single champion on here and talk about reload speeds. Notice I skipped Vivian because she is not comp viable. Strix, reload speeds good for comp. Talus, reload speeds great for comp. Term, never reloads. Torvald, great for comp. Tyra, reload speed, good for decent for comp. Victor, has a loadout you never have to reload. Moji, never reloads. Damba, his reload I just showed you. Koa, reload is good for comp. Maeve, never reloads. Leon, just showed you. Lex, good for comp. Kanessa, good for comp. Khan, excellent for comp. Genos, excellent for comp. Inara, good for comp. Grover, never reloads. Grok, good for comp. Nando, good for comp because these two self-replenish themselves. Eevee, good for comp. Drogo's good for comp. Cassie, good for comp. Buck, Bomb King, Barrick, Ash, Andro, Furia, good for comp on reload. Never buy Deft Hands in comp. And I'll say it again. Never buy Deft Hands in comp. So long story short, after I've explained all these, the 2 you never buy in comp, Veteran and Deft Hands. So that knocks you down from having 4 choices on your healing and 4 choices on your offensive down to 3 and 3. Life Rip is one of your least likely picks in healing. So therefore, tanks, everybody else. Rejuves for tanks, kill to heals everybody else. Because Life Rip's lifesteal is affected by caught. Offense. You have Cauterize, Wrecker, and Bulldoze, because I told you never buy Deft Hands in comp. Cauterize, best choice there is. Wrecker, 1 member of your team needs if it has 2 or more of those 5 front lines that I said. Bulldoze, only 1 member of your team needs to buy, only if it has 2 of those 3. 2 or 3 out of all 3 of those that I said Bulldoze affects. The utility is really a personal choice. Chronos, most of the healers except for Ceres and Ying, well, it can go to Ying, but not required for Ying like it is everybody else. Nimble, mostly everybody else gets. Morale boost, get if you really want your ultimate fast. If your ultimate benefits the entire team more than just a single kill, morale boost is good. But nimble is mostly what you get if it's not Chronos. Here, blast shields or Haven is what you mainly get unless your team, unless there's crowd control of champions that I went through the entire list and told you all the crowd controls. As long as there's not 2 or 3 of them on their team that are focusing you, do not waste resilience on one champion. If there's only one champion with crowd controlling abilities or ults that's targeting you, focus on Haven or Blast Shield, and never get Illuminate unless there's 2 or more invisible people out of those 4 that are in the match on the opposing team, and you're set with the task of killing them, of targeting them. In the next video, YouTube, sorry about the layout, I need to make a new YouTube layout, but in the next video, we will be starting our adventure into the long grind of all 37 champions for their talent, or for their legendary talents, which ones are comp viable, and what loadouts I personally recommend for those set abilities. Until then, keep it real, be good to yourself, be good to your loved ones, and I will see you later.